Farming's a risky game. Get used to it. That saying can't be further from the truth, but we got a lot to work on today, guys. So I'm your host, Random Man Buck. Let's cue the intro and start working on some corn harvest. I accidentally misspoke. I really meant we were going to be starting to work on some soybeans. While we're getting the combine set up in the shop to prep it over to beans, I'm going to be giving you guys a quick financial rundown of this farm and what it has brought to us over the last 2 years. For those of us that have been following since the day one of the Old School series, September 4th of 2022 actually marks the very first episode that we did for the Old School farm. We actually started that series $250,000 in debt. One thing I've been trying to get better at with my farm is integrating the realism of trying to get finances to a positive number. Nebraska is the only series out of all of mine that, financially speaking, is logically in the plus. However, when we go and look back, Nebraska is in a completely different financial situation compared to the Old School series. The Old School, while it seems very optimistic, lacks in one major department: supply versus demand. Old School never had the amount of ground that Nebraska did, neither did it have half of the opportunities that Nebraska provided. Just finishing up some last minute blowing out of filters, and I think we're set to go and start rolling on some beans. But Nebraska had over 30,000 bushels worth of crops sitting in its bins ready to sell at any moment. Compare that to Old School, where we sold out all of our bin crop easily by the beginning of hay season. Now, through hay contracts over the summer season, though, we were able to get to about $140,000. I have since put $50,000 of that into the loan payments, bringing us down to $200,000, but the other $50,000 is what the title of this video is. I placed a $50,000 wager on 3 different farms. Moving into our PDA, we can see field 35, 25, 28, 29, and 39 are all now ours, only because we leased that farm ground. So I have no idea what this farm ground is going to produce because I did none of the prep work. I do know these beans are at least somewhat well taken care of because, it's right next to my ground. Right out the gate, I like the fact this is almost 100 bushel beans. So if you guys are massive fans of the Old School farm and you guys really want to see us try and get this farm back to zero before 25 does come out, be sure to possibly go down below, maybe drop a like, consider possibly even subscribing. This field, beans right now are sitting at $22 a bushel. Oats, which is 2 of the fields at my neighbor's plots, those are worth 19 bucks a bushel. Corn, however, is only worth 9. That seems like fantastic numbers, right? $9 corn, we'd be having heydays and people are buying brand new combines. But in farm sim terms, that's really, really low. By the end of the harvest season, I'm looking at possibly trying to bring in $160,000. On the opposite side of this wager, though, we got to try and get at least $50,000 back out of this field because that very well could have put us only $150,000 in debt. It's a lot of numbers, a lot of finances. But I really have been trying to get better at managing my farms, and I wish I had gotten on this train how many months ago when I didn't take the series that seriously. Yes, Buck, this is also a video game, but yes, Buck, this is also great financial practices for real life. So deal with it, alright? I'm just trying to get better. I also kind of fought a light case of the flu last weekend, so my community post was not entirely false that we didn't do a stream, but yeah, I ran like 100+ fever for probably 2 days or so. I was cooking there for a little bit. I'm pretty well aware this field's gonna take a little while, but if I had my S780 from Nebraska in this thing, I could knock this field out in probably 5 minutes. But we don't have a 40-foot flex draper with another 35-foot 9660 STS, do we? In all fairness, though, Nebraska got to start with a lot better equipment than Old School did. Old School, we built from the ground up. Nebraska, we just kind of built something around what was already there. You know what? I'm actually going to create a community post about this because I know what my favorite series is, but this series has definitely given its run for its money. What is your guys' favorite series out of these two, Nebraska or Old School? Old School, we get the diversity of different brands. We have John Deere, we have Case, we have Ford, We have Massey Ferguson. But Nebraska is like about as close as you're going to get on my channel to big time operation. This 2388 has been a fantastic combine. Haven't had very many issues since we've really started using it. Once we get to the end of the field, though, Kevin has given me the ring. He's ready to take the helm of the 2388, meaning we'll jump up in the drone, get you guys some wonderful drone shots, and hopefully get one last great harvest for 25 arrives in next month.
Huh?
Now, Kevin might have to be left on financial leave here if he does what I think he's going to do at the end of this pass. Don't you do it, Kevin. Is he gonna? Okay, he is turning around. Sweet. We had a slight issue at the end of the field over there. You guys saw that. Kevin decided to just quit on the job. My one gripe that I have with Midwest Horizon is that for some odd reason, the AI workers just don't really like to work that much. And my other gripe with this combine is that I believe it's the tractor's fault. There's some sort of a collision error that just makes the combine stop whenever it's in the vicinity of this tractor. But that has officially topped off our wagon, or very, very close to. Hold on, Kevin. You're not getting away that easy. There we go. Now we're full. Breaking down the mathematical side of things, if we can get what looks to be under a fifth of the field to fill up the wagon once, so best case scenario, we're looking at 3 semi-trucks that we're going to be able to bring out of this field. What each of those trucks will bring to us at market is unknown. $22 a bushel, I could run a rough calculation, but of course I won't know though until I actually bring it to the elevator. You know, I could actually just break out my calculator and get a rough idea. At $22.50 a bushel, 750 bushels is going to bring us $16,000 a truckload. It's not that great. I got $50K to pay off. This is not looking good. Let's do that number times 3. All right, that's exactly $50K out of just this field, so that makes me feel a little bit better about myself. Some of you guys might ask, though, why on earth do I use the 5020 as the wagon tractor? Why don't I put the 1206 on it? The 1206 does not have the guts that the 5020 has, because remember, we put the turbo kit on this tractor, bumping its power up to 153 PTO horsepower. This wagon is technically rated at 130 horsepower. That 1206 only has got 95, so with the hills at full load, we're not going to be able to pull very efficiently, and we're putting a lot more stress on that tractor. So, with the fact I at least have the floater tires on this to help with the compaction, and I have adequate power, that is the reason behind why the 5020 is on the wagon and the 1206 is not. But we do at least have Red harvesting the crop, so for all of the Red fans out there, at least you can be happy about that. I do, however, regret not having a cab on this tractor. Breathing in grain dust is for winners, alright? We breathe in grain dust 24/7. I highly doubt it, but in case Kevin does fill up, we'll just leave the tractor in the field. But I would think I'd be back before he'd fill up. Beans, of course, don't really fill the hopper that quick. The plans on this farm for the winter, if we do end up having one last episode, will be to restore this bison. It's got quite a few leak problems, and to be fair, the transmission slips really, really bad. I didn't think it was that bad when we bought the truck, but the terms grind it till you find it doesn't really mean hearing the grinding chips in the transmission. Somebody's been grinding it a little bit too much in this thing. There's a prime example right there. It can't find a gear. Please tell me this is like $20,000 a trailer. I'd be very, very happy if that was the case. Here comes the money. Ooh, I like that. I really like how fast that's going up. 17,800. I like that. That's 1,000 more than I thought I was going to get. So my math wasn't that far off. After this field, we're not going to jump into my crops just yet. I kind of want to take out all of the leased ground so that way I can send it back and I'm not going to have to really pay as much of the day funds. So financially speaking, I think we're going to come out on top, but it's going to be a hard margin to beat, though, to get completely out of debt. If I'm at least within 30, 40 grand, I'll call that a success. If anything else happens that's relatively interesting, unlike me just running through the cornfield over there like a bumbling idiot, Buck's going just right in front of the combine to get eat by it. We'll see you guys in a bit. Then I'll just be sitting on the world's greatest tractor, even though no one else agrees with me. Probably for good reason. My Buc-ee's cup's now out of water, and I'm also starting to freeze. I better go get myself a sweatshirt.
A few moments later.
That looks better. I feel better. My water jug's full. Back to work. Giving you guys an idea of some upcoming events. Andy Clean is a big part of this channel, and we are going to be having an Andy Clean episode come out later this week as well. But Andy and I will hopefully be attending a show that we attended last year in Sublette, Illinois. To my knowledge, the info on the show hasn't come out yet, but Sublette's annual toy and tractor show somewhere in the month of March. That'll be the next public event that I'll probably be out at, besides maybe like an in-state tractor show somewhere in Nebraska. But it's just kind of hard for me to find time to go out and do these events while also keeping business rolling. But with this being the start of our boom season, I always say boom season because in farm sim creators content, if you guys are avid YouTubers or watch these creators over these months from October to December, Q4 is where we get the views. Christmas time is where these channels ignite. So if you're trying to start a channel, now would be the time. 'Tis the season. I just want to point out that when I look at the yield monitor, it makes perfect and logical sense. Of course, the best yield is going to come in the one place that we don't really need it to, like the smallest fraction. We need it to be up in here. Nah, it's just going to be right there. Makes perfect sense. But that does excite me because if this is all green and this was maintained pretty well, then this should probably be green this year, and this should also be green, and this whole field should be green, and that's corn. All right, that's good. And hey, the auto steer really didn't do that bad. We're still going straight. Mint. I'm just going to run to the end of this pass. Kevin's still just sitting on the 50-20. I need at least 250 bushel in order to fill up the rest of the semi, and then 100 bushel after that. So by the time I dump, then he might have another 100 in the combine, and then we can take the second truck in. There's not that many beans left. I don't see us making the 50K out of this field. So while we're making 17 grand a truck, I predict maybe 38 to 42 is what we'll pull out of this field. Still not bad, but not what I thought I was going to get. On the plus side, though, at least have the 250 bushel by the end of the pass, and a head start on the 100 we need after that. Or whatever head start it is, I don't know if it's going to be worth it. Oh, that's a great head start. It will be at least a pass and a half, though, before we can dump Kevin, and that'll easily be the extra 100 that we'll need to top off the trailer. I just don't see us getting any more than 300 additional bushel on top of that field once we top off this trailer.
2 hours later.
I kind of want to stick a metal stake right through the middle of my foot right about now, because I just realized, and why I didn't register is beyond me, oats are not able to be harvested until like the middle of July. So the two fields that I had planned as to help offset my costs are now not able to be harvested until well into the summer season. So I have one of two options. One, I take the loss and I wait it out, but by that point 25 would be well underway, so we're not going to be able to do that. Or two, if I look at the maps again, field 40 just north of it, I can lease that out for 15 grand more. Therefore, bringing our total up to $65,000 in an investment to try and get better. I'm going to flip to corn because there is at least 2 cornfields that I can pull just south of it, but that's not going to be worth any money compared to what these 2 would be, but you can't get that money yet. I can at least get field 40. I'll probably end up taking it, but that means 34 and 31 are really going to have to pull their own leg in order to help offset those costs. We did get a decent amount in the grain wagon, though, that we'll be able to transport in. I'll get the final numbers on that. We'll see you guys over at the little fields to start pulling some corn. Combines are topped off with diesel, and I have not yet decided if I'm going to lease that farm ground yet. I just don't know if I want to waste another 15 grand. The only upside is that I know I can profit off that, but that's $65,000 now that we've thrown out the window, and a third of it we can't even use. That's my own fault. I should have looked at that before I leased it. The big field I didn't even have to lease first because it just came with the small oats and then the 2 cornfields. I had to get the other one. If I'd looked at it that it was still growing, probably wouldn't have bought it. Well, leased it. We live and we learn. I vote we go get some corn, though. That'll make me feel better, right? Also, on a plus note, I did run the numbers from the last truck of beans. That field we rented for, I believe, $19,000. It was just short of 20 grand. We got $48,900 out of that. So that is the only plus side, is that we double our income if we do rent that other bean ground. That one only cost us, I believe, 12? That or it's about the same, but it's still, I don't think it's going to offset the other 18 grand that are 17 grand that I put into the one plot I can't even use. The beans average 98, and this is 203 corn. I'm going to do a lap around the headlands, though, and then we'll bring over the grain trucks, and we'll see what we're going to work with after that. As I was saying, with the main roads now finally underway, we had a special guest help us run the combine here for a little bit. Very fun guest. One person might know who that is. Kevin, get back to work, all right? We don't have time for your shenanigans. If I were to go dump a full trailer, I wouldn't be surprised if I got less than 9 grand. Pretty sure Kevin's starting to become friends with Dory because he just gets to the end of the pass where he still has 4 rows left, but it's not enough for the whole width of the header, and just calls it quits. So I'll finish out the field. I think this will probably be where we're going to leave you guys off. I'll at least take in the 1 truckload on the semi because I am curious to see how much a load of corn will bring in. This field's basically the same size as that one, so whatever this field brings in, that field should bring in roughly the same. I guess let me know down below if I should technically go and lease that other bean field and try and make back some of my money. As we sit, we've only invested $50,000 in extra farm ground, but $65,000 at least can ensure that I'd make double on the one piece of farmland. Who knows? Farming's farming. Farming will be farming. At least in this game, I get $9 corn. With leases being dissolved on both the one big ground of oats and our bean ground, that leaves us just the 1 cornfield left to harvest, and that number is going up significantly slower than when we dumped the beans. Wow, that was a complete waste of time. $6,800 for a full load of corn. Could I have dried it? Yes, but I do not have a dryer. That's pretty rough. I think we financially learned something today. Don't farm. Save yourself. But guys, I think that's all we're going to have for us today. So thank you all for tuning into the old school series. There probably might be at least one more video from now until the launch of 25. Haven't decided yet or when that will be, but I'll keep you guys in the know. As much as I know, you guys will know. So with that being said, keep it light, keep it loose, keep it fresh, and most importantly, guys, keep it fun. This is Rental Man out. Peace.